Our game of the week is in the Big 12 for just the second time this year. Cincinnati might be legit. Then the Texas Longhorns, it's a playoff elimination game against Vanderbilt, and Brian Kelly has been fired. All that and more right here on Fire TV's College Football Kickoff. Welcome back to Fire TV's College Football Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola. I'm your host, Drake Toll from Locked On Big 12 and the Savannah Bananas organization, and we're coming in hot from the heart of college football country in Dallas, Texas. On set with me, the former Tar Heel and Dallas Cowboy Jesse Holley, and filling in for Coach Gary Patterson, former Notre Dame color commentator and Houston Oilers running back Alan Pinkett. Every week throughout the college football season, we'll be right here breaking down the matchups, the moments, the madness with expert analysis from across the nation. Look for new episodes every Thursday on your Fire TV and Echo Show devices. This is your all-access pass to the week ahead in college football. Let's kick it off. Alan, welcome to the madness.
Happy to be here.
Another coach got fired. We fired. No, I'm playing. We didn't fire Coach. We're glad to have you, Alan. We're glad to have you, man.
Alan's the Notre Dame guy, so certainly he'll talk about the LSU coach Brian Kelly being fired. In the meantime, that LSU team is out of the top 25 altogether. Let's go there now with our rankings report. Unchanged in the top 6. The AP top 10 so far through this 8 games of college football still has Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech. Now BYU is kind of there, 11 top 10 teams. Jesse, there are a few names, Indiana being paramount, that we did not expect to be here really at any point in the year. Here they sit late in the season.
No, absolutely. And having Indiana in the fold, it just goes to show you just how much the transfer portal, NIL, and coaching matters to these different programs. And that could be why you're seeing, and we'll get to this later on, why you're seeing so many of these top-level coaches being fired, because people are looking around and going, wait a second, this guy got Indiana turned around, Vanderbilt got turned around. We can't wait for this thing to happen when we have things like this moving in the country.
Well, I think all the teams that are there deserve to be there. They've played good football. Was impressed by Ole Miss coming up in the rankings, but Ohio State, they still continue to be, I think, the darling of the year.
Let's check out the rest of the rankings. Notre Dame, Allen, number 12 in the country right now. They've once again positioned themselves right there for the college football playoff. The committee will give their first ranking next week. That's going to be so key, especially on our show. Do you think, Allen, Notre Dame is as good as advertised a playoff team?
Well, I use my eyes, as a way to measure, and they look really, really good. And you do have to consider that they had 2 quality losses, but it puts me in a position now where I have to cheer for those teams that beat them, which is kind of hard to do. I've never cheered for USC before in my life.
Are you surprised, Allen, to not see Navy, who is unbeaten right now, in the top 25?
A little surprised, but I know it has to do with the type of competition that they played. But the competition is coming, and Navy is a good football team. I mean, they consistently outrush everybody.
Yeah.
And so that has to mean something, but they're going to get tested in their last 4 games.
We'll take a look at who is in and who is out this week. Houston, number 22 in the country. Jesse, their defense is one of the more elite. They have been electric on that side of the ball. It's why I think they could help win the Big 12, what could help them win the Big 12 conference, I should say, later on this season. Utah in there at number 24. They've got a big matchup this week with Cincinnati. And we lost LSU for good. They also lost their head coach, No More Tigers, who a couple of us thought could win a national title.
Yeah, well, coming into this year, you thought LSU, they had Nussmeier as their quarterback, and you thought this team was poised to find themselves back in the college football playoffs. Nussmeier hasn't played up to potential. Of course, Brian Kelly, they fire him. That thing is in a little bit of disarray. And as you're starting to see now, a lot of former players that were coaching under Brian Kelly are starting to come out and tell you just how this thing wasn't as good as we thought it was from the inside out.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that later on in the show with Alan as well. In the meantime, Coach Gary Patterson is on vacation in Africa, but still took the time to send us little people his top 5 this week, as well as his lurkers. Ohio State is tied still at number 1 alongside Indiana for Coach, with a slew of SEC teams in there. Then his lurkers for Coach Gary Patterson. He thinks that Oregon, Ole Miss, Vanderbilt could all make some noise down the stretch here in college football. Alan Pinkett, though, joining the desk. It would be unfair to not give you the opportunity to one-up. Well, maybe not one up, but at least give your own top 5 here.
Well, I actually have in my top 5 Texas A&M at number 2, and the reason I do is because I think winning at Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, at night against LSU means more than Indiana winning at Oregon. And so I value that more. And it's more recent, too. But then 4 and 5 haven't changed. But I just value the win that Texas A&M had, and I think they are a potential number 1.
Indiana goes on the road and beats Oregon, Jesse, but Allen thinks that the road win against LSU is more impressive.
I get it. I mean, the SEC going to Death Valley, that place always has its mystique, and the inability for teams to go in there and come out victorious is going to. But if I had to push back a little bit, is that going across the country, talking about different time zones, playing in that type of atmosphere, Dan Lanning has that Oregon football team primed and ready to go. That was a huge win for me from a team in Indiana that still a lot of people don't believe are truly here and are truly a team that can contend in the country. To go on the road to Oregon State and win that game, to Oregon and win that game was real big to me.
I also think it's a moot conversation. They should both be top 4 teams.
Yes.
I think they'll both be top 4 teams and get buys in the college football playoff. Even if Indiana doesn't win the Big Ten or A&M doesn't win the SEC, I think they still probably deserve to be around that 3, 4, maybe 5 slot. In the meantime, a couple teams that are just trying to climb into the college football playoff conversation come out of the Big 12. This is our game of the week. It's our game of the week here on College Football Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola. They are the experts on these two teams. Jeff Carr of Locked On Bearcats, JT Wistersill of Locked On Utes, talking all things Utah and Cincinnati. This is like reminiscent in my brain of what a 1991 Holiday Bowl would have been. These two teams have never competed in the sport of college football before until this weekend, and College Game Day will be on site. It's our game of the week. We'll start with you, Jeff. Brennan Sorsby? He's in the top 10 of the Heisman race right now. You might have a Heisman contending quarterback playing a Utah team that might be without their starting quarterback.
Efficiency and the fact that he's a dual threat guy. I mean, he is a true passing threat and a true rushing threat. You cannot defend against just one part of his game. And the turnover-worthy plays have been so low this season. It's been impressive to watch him work.
Yeah, Brennan Sorsby is maybe the most underrated quarterback in the country, certainly not getting a lot of national attention, probably deserves that. JT Wistersill, early in the year, I think we heard more about Devin Dampier than we're hearing right now, and maybe a piece of that is because Bird Ficklin, the freshman, walked through the doors last week and was electric for Utah against Colorado. Does it matter who the quarterback is for the Utes in this game?
It definitely does. When you look at what Devin Dampier has meant for this team, it's still hard to quantify because of his rushing abilities. And Bird Ficklin, yes, he did it last week, but that was not a good Buffs team. I mean, also, the Utah defense is playing good at the right time right now. Sorsby's a really talented quarterback. Utah held Colorado to negative 18 yards in the first half last week. This is a top 10 defense in sacks. And the last couple Big 12 home games that Utah's seen opponents, they're outscoring their last two opponents in those games 95-17. So thankfully, this isn't going to fall on a true freshman in Bird Ficklin. I don't think it matters who the quarterback is. Utah's going to have a good chance on Saturday, hence why they are 10.5-point favorites right now.
Yeah. Jeff, Cincinnati is undefeated in Big 12 play. They control their own destiny in the conference. Give me a brief synopsis and a final score of this game.
I think they're going to run the ball well in this one here, Drake, because I really believe that the efficiency of the offense has been led by this offensive line, been led by Brennan Sorsby, and the play calling that Scott Satterfield has been on full display in this his third year, in a year that he started off on the hot seat, and now the hot seat has turned into the Iron Throne, maybe not the Iron Throne, okay, but definitely a very comfortable chair for him this year. But ultimately, I think the efficiency keeps them ahead in this ball game. They end up winning by a field goal. I have it 31-28.
And JT Wistersill, the exact same for you.
Yeah, I think this is a Utah team. They're hitting their stride at the right time. They are one of just 4 teams in the country in the top 12 of scoring offense and defense. They're coming off a really strong performance against Colorado. It's one of the best offensive lines in the country. They have one of the best pass rushers in all of college football. Quarterback is a big deal for this team, but the atmosphere that is Rice-Eccles Stadium at night, I believe, will overcome whoever is that starting quarterback if it ends up being a true freshman. Dampier or Ficklin, it won't matter. I'm going to roll with the Utah Utes to win this one, 27-20.
Injuries on both sides, a late night start. This is a funky game in the Big 12 and the biggest game in college football this week. Jeff Carr, JT Wistersill, our two experts from Locked On Bearcats and Locked On Utes, all things Cincinnati and Utah. Thank you guys, and thank you for being a passionate fan. We know that pomp and the circumstance makes you work up a thirst. Fan work is thirsty work. Enjoy a refreshing Coca-Cola.
Hey, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is exactly where I go every single week when BYU is an underdog. Or when I was 4-1 last week on the Big 12 best bets. And so all you got to do is go to FanDuel. And every Thursday, you see the Big 12 best bets come up on your feed, and you say, I'm going to click on that. And then you can go play those at FanDuel. And right now, if you go to FanDuel and put $5 on a bet, and that bet hits, you get $300 in bonus bets. And one of the best situations that has anything to do with FanDuel is the fact that the NBA season is here. When the NBA back, that's like live same-game parlays. Like, I'm not a big NBA guy, but I can be a big NBA guy when I say, hey, Cooper Flag under 22 points. And then he goes under 22 points, and I win money. It keeps the game exciting. Right now, new FanDuel customers, again, can get those $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet hits. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. It's FanDuel.
Alan, I think the biggest misconception with games like this is that it's the lowly Big 12. But both of these teams have first-round draft picks, NFL talent on their rosters. And I think Cincinnati, at now plus 10.5, is being overlooked.
Yeah, and I think that I've never seen a team that's been more under the radar winning 7 games in a row. Yeah. And when I think of Cincinnati, I look at the quarterback, Sorsby, and the thing that impresses me the most, because you can look at stats don't always tell the entire story, but this guy has 1 interception. He's only been sacked twice. So you know he takes care of the football, and you know he makes good decisions, and he's a dual threat. So he gives Cincinnati a chance every time they play.
So, Jesse, here's one of the intricacies of Utah's quarterback situation. We saw with Texas Tech. Remember when they played Utah? They lost their starter. Their backup comes in. There's no film on him. He tears it up.
Yeah.
Last week, Utah's backup quarterback, freshman Birdficklen, there's no film on him. He tears it up. This week, I think it's hard to trust a freshman 2 weeks in a row if he is their guy.
For me, I look at it and say, hey, if Dampier can go, he goes. But young fella, be ready, right? And you can do this more so in the college game than you can in the pro game. If things aren't quite going well for you, kind of make that switch, inject that type of energy into the football team that you had a week ago with the freshmen. So, but in these type of big moments, in these big games, against this level of competition, you want the guy with a little bit more experience than Dampier to go out there leading your football team. But in the event that he's not 100% and he can't go, then you be a little bit more quicker to go, hey, we'll get you next game.
Yeah.
You all right? Young fella, see what you got and go out there and try to save the game for us.
In Utah's case, you've heard the old adage, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But sometimes when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have 2.
Yeah. Could be the case for the Utah Utes this week. No Evan Pryor, the star running back for Cincinnati, but it's been running back by committee for them, so they could be okay. If no Devin Dampier and no Evan Pryor, this is a game without 2 stars. We'll see which team has the better offense as they fill their holes to try to win the game of the week on college football kickoff. It's Cincinnati and it's Utah. But certainly we can't go this long without talking about the SEC. Vanderbilt and Texas. It's time for our can't-miss matchup. He's the man who knows the most about the Longhorns. From Locked On Longhorns, Brad Kellner joins the show once again. Brad, Arch Manning's health has been a main storyline this week. My question for you, based on his play, his health, all of it put together, I asked this week 1, if his last name was Davis, is he still the starting quarterback for Texas going into this game against Vanderbilt?
I think so. Steve Sarkisian has always been loyal to his quarterbacks. We saw this in 2022 in Quinn Ewers' first season in Austin, where he had some ups and some downs, and there were a lot of Texas fans asking for a quarterback change, but Sark rode the waves and he stayed with Quinn Ewers. So, even though the last name is Manning, obviously that adds more headlines to this whole situation. I still believe that Arch Manning would be the guy in Austin. I think he's had enough good moments this year, and we're still talking about a 6-2 football team that has a shot, an outside shot, but a shot of making the SEC championship and the college football playoff. So no surprise that Steve Sarkisian hasn't made a move there yet.
This didn't make a lot of sense 7 or 8 weeks ago, but I think it does now. Vanderbilt might be the better team this game. They could very well be the better team against the Texas Longhorns. What do the Longhorns do against a better team to try to win this week?
Yeah, I think it comes down to physicality, right? Vanderbilt has been really good on both lines of scrimmage this year. That's been a huge part of their program turnaround these last couple of seasons. And at times, we've seen Texas win up front on the lines of scrimmage. You think about that Oklahoma game in Dallas a few weeks ago. But also at times, we've seen them get bullied by a number of different teams on the lines of scrimmage. So Vanderbilt's a team that loves to limit possessions. They want to win the time of possession battle. They want to make you work for every single thing that you get. Texas has to be able to bring it up front and make the most of their offensive possessions if they want to win. This could be a slugfest. This could be a rock fight. And, Texas has to be willing to bring the physicality and match what Vanderbilt has, because that is a tough bunch, no doubt.
Brad, give me a final score for this game in Austin.
Yeah, I'm going to go Texas 20, Vanderbilt 17. I think the Vegas line is kind of right on the money with this one. It's Texas's first home game in 42 days. Somehow, some way, this is their first SEC home game, and it's happening on November 1st. It's a crazy month of October, a lot of travel, but I think the Longhorns are going to ride the momentum from their home crowd and find a way to hand Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt their second loss of the year.
The expert. Fun as always, Brad.
You're the man, Drake. Thank you.
Jesse, Texas, Vanderbilt. I'm not betting against the Vandy wagon until they give me a reason not to.
Get your shovels out. Get your shovels out, right? Get the shovels out. Vandy buries the likes of Texas making the college football playoffs. That will no longer be in conversation after this weekend. This Texas team has been far too inconsistent. The offensive line has been up and down all year. I think they have a really good defense, right? But you put so much pressure on that defense having to do so much for you to get the stops, to get the turnovers, and your offense has been up and down all year long. You just can't play good SEC teams and all of a sudden think that you can be that inconsistent offensive line and running the ball. And of course, at the quarterback position, when you go up against a physical Vanderbilt football team, to think that you can win that game, even though it's in Austin.
Well, I look at Diego Pavia, and to me, there is no greater example of leadership. And I think he wills them to win. And I think he has control of that team. They don't call themselves teammates. They say it's a brotherhood. And the coach isn't too bad either. Clark Lee, in fact, if you close your eyes and listen to him talk, he sounds like Nick Saban. So Penn State, LSU, you want the next good coach. That's the guy you need to go to.
Yeah, Clark Lee has revamped a program that was the Vanderbilt of college football, actually.
Right.
He's walked through the doors. And I think that's a big reason, Vanderbilt to Indiana, Georgia Tech, you mentioned this earlier, Jesse, on why these coaches are on the hot seat at the top of college football. Steve Sarkisian with a loss here. Folks in Texas, down in Austin, are going to start asking those questions. Is he the guy? Is he the answer? And that leads me to one man, two initials, Brian Kelly, former head coach at Notre Dame, went to the national championship. His overall record is stupendous. He goes to LSU and he's 34-14. So why on earth, Alan, would a guy who you've been around a lot when you were spending your days at Notre Dame as a radio color analyst, why on earth would Brian Kelly already be fired?
Well, I'll tell you the story. I had the fortune to do the radio for Notre Dame, and I covered much of Brian Kelly's tenure. I did it for 17 years, and Coach Kelly was there. He was always good to me, but he left Notre Dame because he felt that he had a better chance at winning a national championship at LSU. Now, some of the sentiment around the building was he did not like that he couldn't change the academic requirements for the students, and there were also some issues about he wanted some extra buildings built on campus and wasn't able to get that. And so he went to LSU, and I was a little disappointed, but I wasn't mad at him because they offered him a ton of money, and I will never begrudge someone for going for the money. The thing that I find ironic is his replacement, Marcus Freeman, embraced the academic requirements, embraced the culture at Notre Dame. And how ironic that last year he plays for a national championship and Coach Kelly lost 4 games. The thing that comes to mind for me, because we're talking about these coaches getting fired, we also have to talk about coaches that are going to be retained. So I'm wondering, is there a number out there that Marcus Freeman would leave Notre Dame for?
That's a good question. Like Brian Kelly's on the market, Mike Gundy's on the market, James Franklin, these long-tenured big names in college football. My question, Jesse, a lot of people brought it up since day one at that press conference where he said, family, the Southern accent, right? It wasn't a very good first impression. Right. The awkward photo shoot with the spinning thing. Yeah. And if Brian Kelly was this nice stand-up guy that everybody loves like Marcus Freeman, would he have bought himself more time in Baton Rouge for being less controversial?
I think yes. I think the answer is yes, because being likable goes a long way. When you're snarky with players and families and alumni and donors and all that kind of stuff, snarky with the media and everything, you just come off as this gruntry curmudgeon. People just have a little bit less patience with you. And then you're talking about LSU football here, right? So losing that amount of games, not being in the conversation with the Alabamas, the Georgia, the Texas of college football, that also puts a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth from that school. That school, football-wise, is looked at as supposed to be the cream of the crop, the top dog. And when you're not being talked like that and you're not a coach that people actually like, your leash gets shorter and shorter and shorter till finally they just unhooked that thing and Brian Kelly's out the door.
It never really felt like an LSU Tiger. And you know, they're not really losing an LSU Tiger. They're losing Brian Kelly. We'll see where he lands next in college football. In the meantime, though, Matt Moscona of Locked On LSU had some very keen thoughts on the head Tiger being no more.
So when the head coach says we're taking receipts, we'll see you at the national championship, and then asks for fan and booster support for NIL, even doing the $1 million match. Remember, Brian Kelly himself put $1 million of his own money into this roster. Okay. So however you want to phrase it, the man put his money where his mouth is. He put $1 million of his own money into this. And then they went all in the transfer portal. They signed the #1 portal class in the country. I've been very transparent with you when I've had numbers and shared them with you. You don't need me to tell you anything off the record. Brian Kelly said on the record, $18 million is what they spent on this roster. Okay, well, if you're all in, you're talking about taking receipts and being all in for a championship, $18 million roster, you're a preseason top 10 team in the country, and you got 3 losses before November, and it's over. And by the way, you lose to Vanderbilt. It's your second loss. You go into this home game against Texas A&M with an all-in approach, understanding like you lose one more time and it's over. So you have to win to keep your playoff dream alive. And you're up 18-14 at half, and then you are blitzkrieg 21-0 in the third quarter. You lose the second half 35-7. The fans empty out. The A&M crowd takes over. The team leaves the field. Frank Wilson has to bring some guys back out to do the alma mater. Kelly, who had left, then comes back out. I mean, it was a total mess.
Yeah, Alan, very clear stuff from Moscona there that Brian Kelly's last game was the quick nail in the coffin. If you're LSU, where do you go next?
Well, you're looking for the next big star. You have to take a big swing because, to me, it's the most important job out there in college football. The talent is so immense and great in the state of Louisiana. You don't have to go very far to recruit. You know, they bleed that purple and gold, so they have to get the right person. The right person will make that team a national champion.
Today's show is brought to you by Mazda. There's a reason I drive a Mazda. That's because I saved up a lot of money, enough money, and I bought a Mazda because they deliver confidence with every ride. More IIHS top safety pick awards than anyone else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same intention to how they craft every model. Feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. All-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved with Mazda.
John Summerall down at Tulane. He's a Louisiana guy, or at least fits the vibe enough. He could be the next head man at LSU. In the meantime, we haven't talked enough about a massive game from the group of 5 ranks, Navy and North Texas. That is our lock of the week.
Thanks, Drake. Another crazy college football weekend behind us, and looking forward to another one coming up Saturday. Lee Sterling looking to go 6-3 on these locks. Now another lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it.
Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Big game inside the American Conference coming up Saturday afternoon. North Texas plays host to Navy. And Lee, what do you like in this matchup?
Well, a lot of people don't even realize that Navy's undefeated at 7-0. North Texas, 7-1. Everyone's talking about all these other teams that aren't in Power 4 conference teams that might make into the college football playoffs, like South Florida, Memphis, and Boise State. But the winner here might determine who goes to the college football playoff. North Texas has scored between 33 and 59 points in all 8 games, even against a solid South Florida defense. Now, on the other side, Navy has scored between 32 and 52 in all their games except for one of them. North Texas quarterback Drew Mestamaker, 21 touchdown passes. Navy quarterback Blake Horvath, more of a runner. He has 12 touchdown rushes here. Both defenses, tackling is optional. We're not going to take the side here at 6.5. We're going to go over 65 total points. It's going to be a level 3 lock all the way up.
And for more daily picks, subscribe to Locked On Bets. Back to the college football kickoff studio. We'll see you next week, Drake.
And thank you, Lee. Thank you, Kevin. Always wise to bet on the Service Academy to go over in their football game. Right, Lee? Thanks a lot. Coming up next, Playoff Playbook. Some of the biggest games we have not gotten to yet are here in our playoff playbook. It's the world's largest American beer cocktail party in the USA, Georgia and Florida. Maybe
outside.
The outdoor, that's correct. Maybe the longest name for a rivalry, but Jesse, in rivalry games, weird things happen.
No, it absolutely does. And when you look at this game, Georgia versus Florida, Florida has the talent. We're talking now the post-Billy Napier era, but Georgia may be the best second-half football team in the country. They don't have all of the name recognition stars that they've had in the past, but this team is gritty, it is tough, and you have to put them away because if you let Georgia hang around, they find a way to win at the end in the second half of football.
Clint Shamblin, Locked On Bulldogs. Will the Bulldogs win?
Georgia will absolutely take the cocktail party. And it's for 2 simple reasons. One, Florida's defense is just bad. I mean, historically bad. I mean, for all metrics and efficiency purposes, somewhere between 90 and 100 nationally in college football. And it doesn't get better as the season goes on. It actually gets worse against ranked opponents. It's worse. Their third down efficiency is far worse. Away from the swamp, it goes down to allowing teams to convert or stopping on defense 17% of third downs. That's not good for Florida. The second reason that Georgia is going to roll in this game, it's 2 words, 2 simple words. Gunnar Stockton. He is a Heisman candidate. If he's not, it's a crying shame because metrically, he is the most efficient passer in the SEC. His turnover-worthy throws are next to nothing. This guy is a baller and gets it done. 2 reasons. Florida's defense is bad. Gunnar Stockton is the man. That's why Georgia rolls in the cocktail party.
And that's why you're the man, Clint Shamblin. Thank you very much. Alan, number 18, Oklahoma at number 14, Tennessee this week. The loser is done.
Yeah, pretty much an elimination game. But I kind of like Tennessee in this game. I think what happened to Oklahoma last week is on film now. Ole Miss exposed them. And if you don't correct that stuff and it's on film, then you're going to lose again. And I think that Tennessee has more explosive receivers than Ole Miss had. So I expect Tennessee to have their way with this team. And keep in mind, they're going to be more inspired because they're wearing the all-black jerseys.
OU was number 6 in the country a couple weekends ago. Wow, how quickly the mighty can fall. Penn State, Ohio State. I'm going to keep it with you, Alan. You're the Big Ten guy. Any chance that there's that? You know how like you're in school and you're dissecting a frog and the muscles twitch every now they twitch every now and then. Any chance Penn State's muscles twitch here?
Well, feel bad for Penn State.
What are you showing him over here?
Ohio State by 1 million.
Yeah.
That's what I'm showing him. I'm showing Alan, listen, just say this right here. Ohio State by 1 million.
Yeah, you know, I feel bad for Penn State. My son graduated from Penn State, by the way, so I sort of have to cheer for them. But I'm so impressed with Ohio State. They lose 8 guys on defense to the NFL, and they keep rolling. The thing I would say, though, they get Matt Patricia, but it's not just the coaching, all right? You know how they say it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. And they got, they got the Jimmies and Joes, though.
That's good stuff. Number 10, Miami at SMU. We'll go to our ACC expert. Jesse, conversely, so here's the problem. In the SEC, you can lose 2 games, still go to the college football playoff. Yep. If Miami loses at SMU, this might be an elimination game for the Canes.
It could be. But here's the thing. I think that Miami is the far superior team. And I know that they're coming on the road. They'll be here in Dallas, Texas. And some people may think this is a sneaky game. But here's the thing about Jennings, what he's getting ready to face. He's getting ready to face a defensive front in the Miami Hurricanes that he has not seen at all this year. And so once Miami starts getting after Jennings, he tries to be a scrambler. He tries to be a playmaker. But that defensive front is just so good with Miami, led by Reuben Bain Jr., that's going to be a lot for SMU to handle.
Yeah, it was a quote last season from Desmond Howard when they got to the Arizona State-Kansas State game on game day. He said, why are we even picking this one? Number 13, Texas Tech at Kansas State, who's lucky to be 500. Kansas State's playing better football. Alan, I want to pitch this one to you. Has there been a time as an athlete where the team starts slow, season starts slow, not much to play for, but from game 8 on, you can be that home record, that season record, because Kansas State looks like that. Did you ever feel like as a player you had those opportunities?
Oh, definitely. I've had it. You know, once you gain momentum, momentum in college football is a real thing. It's you get that confidence, and it's hard to stop you. So I think Kansas State has found something that works because it was a dreadful start to the beginning of the season. But once you find that little niche and that thing that works, you know, it's like a drug. You want to keep winning. It feels good to keep winning. So they have found it. And keep in mind now, they have beaten Texas Tech 8 straight times.
Yeah, they're in Manhattan, Jesse. Kansas State's blowing people out. Yeah. Texas Tech, this is an elimination game for them.
No, it's going to be a really big game. It's one of those things, look at, is this a trap game for Texas Tech? Because you look at Kansas State, and for Texas Tech coming off, you know, that loss that they had against Arizona State, this is big business for Texas Tech. And for Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson, if he's going to make this a game, he's going to have to be a guy that stays on schedule, and then when he goes to create off script, he has to be successful because that defensive front of Texas Tech will be after him all day long. But they are in Manhattan, and spooky things happen in Manhattan for Kansas State.
That'll be interesting. I'll have my eyes on this one, as will Casey Cowan of Locked On Texas Tech. Casey, can the Red Raiders get it done?
Casey Cowan here from Locked On Texas Tech. Big one for the Red Raiders on the road from Manhattan. Tech can get a win if they're equal or better, number one, in the turnover margin. Cannot be giving it away to K-State, as the Wildcats have made so much hay recently, taking the football away, and you better get back to getting busy to taking it away yourself. Number two, get the ground game going again. Cameron Dickey and Jacoby Williams have got to get back online, and that actually starts with the return of the Red Raiders starting quarterback, Baron Morton. Playing smart, not necessarily safe, but of course deferring to some of the skill position players that he's got around him will pave a path to a Red Raider victory in Manhattan.
Casey Cowan, live from being an extra on No Country for Old Men 2.
Yellowstone.
Lost in New York. That's a wrap on this week's College Football Kickoff presented by Coca-Cola. But this season we have so much to go. You guys, we're not even halfway done with the college football season when you consider the national championship being in January. Next week, though, BYU can cement their case for the college football playoff against Texas Tech. Plus, another huge matchup for the SEC, A&M and Missouri. Same time, same set, same unapologetic football energy, and a big thanks to Alan Pinkett and Jesse Holley for bringing the heat, and to you for riding shotgun with us. Enjoy all the action this weekend. Stay locked in, stay fired up. We'll see you next Thursday right here on Fire TV.